Hello grade 8 learners, welcome to our class. It's I, Sir Edwin M. Orsua, your grade 8 science teacher. The Philippines is truly blessed with the different beautiful sceneries, such as Mount Mayon and Mount Tal. Am I right, grade 8 learners? Come on, let's explore the amazing world of surface changer. In this module, you are expected to number 1, define fault. Number 2, explain how fault is formed. Number 3, describe the 3 types of fault and relate the 3 types of stress associated with each type. Number 4, describe the effects of bending of rocks along faults. Number 5, simulate how movements along faults generate earthquakes using models. You are also tasked to answer the 5-question pre-test, and here is the direction. Listen carefully, write only the letter of the correct answer. Number 1, if the bending of rocks is too much, what would happen? A, the rock will break. B, the rock will continue to fall. C, the rocks will be flattened. D, the rocks will build up an energy. Number 2, which of the following diagrams below shows a normal fault? A, 1 only. B, 2 only. C, 3 only. D, 1 and 2. Number 3 question. What type of fault is formed when the strong compressional forces push the rocks together and moving the crust vertically apart? Choices: A, normal fault. B, reverse fault. C, right lateral strike slip fault. D, left lateral strike slip fault. Number 4, how do faults generate earthquakes? Choices: A, when the blocks of rocks break. B, when the blocks of rocks are strongly held by friction. C, when the blocks of rocks slightly overcome the holding force of friction, which resulted to sliding slowly of blocks of rocks. Letter D, when the blocks of rocks can no longer hold the buildup of stress and overcome the friction which caused the sudden shift of imposition of blocks of rocks. And number 5, which of the following does not contribute to the fault formation? Choices: A, fault is formed due to the buildup of stress like shear force which causes the rocks to slide. B, fault is formed due to the high friction along the sides of rocks that hold the rocks together. C, fault is formed due to buildup of stress like compression which results top pushing of rocks in opposite direction. Letter D, fault is formed due to buildup of tensional force which further result to pulling apart of rocks in opposite directions. I will give you 10 seconds to answer this question. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Number 1 question again. If the bending of rocks is too much, what would happen again? The correct answer is letter A. The rocks will break, of course. Thank you for getting the correct answer. Number 2. Which of the following diagrams below shows a normal fault? The correct answer is letter A. 1 only. Again, thank you for getting the correct answer. Number 3. What type of fault is formed when the strong compressional forces push together and moving the crust vertically apart? The correct answer is letter B, reverse fault. Thank you for getting the correct answer again. Number 4, how do faults generate earthquakes? The correct answer is letter D, when the blocks of rocks can no longer hold the buildup of stress and overcome the friction which caused the sudden shift in position of blocks of rocks. Thank you again for getting the correct answer. Number 5, the last one. Which of the following does not contribute in the fault formation? The correct answer is letter B. Fault is formed due to high friction along the sides of the rocks that hold the rocks together. Thank you very much guys for getting the correct answer. Congratulations! We are now on quarter 2, module 1, surface changer. To refresh our mind, I have here 3 questions that you are going to answer in just 10 seconds. Number 1. What are human activities that can affect natural resources negatively? Time starts now. Time's up. Anyone? Okay, very good. Human activities that can affect natural resources negatively are deforestation, illegal logging, throwing garbage anywhere, and others. Those are human activities that can affect natural resources negatively. Second question. What are human activities that can affect natural resources positively? Time starts now. Time's up. Anyone are going to answer in this question? Okay, very good. The human activities that can affect natural resources positively are joining cleanup project, proper disposal of garbages, tree planting, and others. Number 3 question. Why Philippines is one of the most tourist destination among countries in Asia around the world? What is the reason behind? Time starts now. Anyone from the group? Okay, very good. The Philippines is one of the most tourist destinations around the world because we are blessed with beautiful landscapes and beautiful sceneries such as Mount Mayun and Mount Taal. As we have mentioned earlier, you are correct. As you have mentioned earlier, you are correct, class. Why? The Philippines truly blessed with the different beautiful sceneries such as Mount Mayun and Mount Taal. But have you ever wondered how the two emerge? More so, what triggers its eruption? Many forces shapes landforms, such as bending of rocks along faults, somewhere in Sierra Madre, the longest range in the Philippines. On the other hand, the beauty behind these beautiful sceneries underwent the so-called stress. It is not only human being, it is not only animals underwent the so-called stress. Do you believe grade 8? Come on, let's explore the amazing world of surface changer or the so-called stress. What do you mean by stress? Stress in science is a force that squeezes rocks together, stretches or pulls them apart, or pushes them in different directions. As tectonic plates move, they cause stress in the crust, which in turn produces faults and faults. Okay, there are three types of stress. What are those? Number 1, tension. Number 2, compression. And number 3, shear stress. What do you mean by tension stress? Tension stress makes the rocks pull apart. It's move the crust vertically apart. Number 2, compression stress or compressional stress squeezes rocks together, meaning compressional forces push together or the rocks together. That is compressional stress. And number 3, shear stress is a type of stress that happens when forces are parallel but moving in opposite directions. Remember, opposite directions. Okay? The second one is fall. What do you mean by fall? It is literally what you have done wrong to your classmates, to your brother and sister. In science, there is what we call also definition. When we see fault in science, it is a break or crack in the earth crust. A break or crack in the earth crust. It is usually occur along plate boundaries where the forces of plate motion compressed, pull, or shear the crust so much that the crust breaks. And the fracture or zone of fractures between two blocks of rocks. That is the so-called fault. There are types of fault also. What are those? Number 1, normal fault. Number 2, reverse fault. Number 3, strike-slip fault. What are the difference between the three? Normal fault is of course when the crust is being pulled apart caused by the tension or tensional stress. While reverse fault, when the crust is being compressed, reverse fault takes place in which the hanging wall block moves up and over the footwall block. The last one, strike-slip fault, happens when crustal blocks move sideways past each other. Sideways. So you can see the picture on the right corner of your screen. There are pictures there. So kindly examine closely to understand better about the three types of fault. Okay? Association. When we see association about the different types of stress and fault, they are associated with one another. Okay, and reverse fault, remember this one class, is associated with compressional stress. Again, reverse fault is associated with compressional stress, while normal faults are associated with tensional stress. Look at the direction of the arrows. And the last one, strike-slip fault, is associated with shear stress. Remember the three types of stress together with their association or associates. Okay? Let's come now to the component of fault. There are three components of fault. What are those? Number 1, fault plane. Number 2, hanging wall. Number 3, fault wall. What are the difference between the three? When we say fault plane, it's the plane along which the rock or crustal material has fractured. There is what we call fracture, class. Represent the fracture of a fault. That is fault plane. Next is hanging wall. It is the place where the rock materials lies above the fault plane. So you can see the picture. Look at that. Then the fault wall. It is the rock material which lies below the fault plane. Look at again the picture. Fault wall wherein people or volcanologists are capable to walk. That is simple as that. Note, when fault plane is vertical, there is no hanging wall or fault wall. Remember that, class. Okay? The difference between hanging wall and fault wall: hanging wall or fault is always above the fault. Remember that. Hanging wall is always above the fault, while fault wall is always under the fault. Remember, class, in order for a crack in the ground to be fault, one side or the other has to move. But sometimes both sides move too. The build-up of stress on the rocks which have reached its limit can cause overcoming friction, which further release energy resulting to crustal movement. This movement results to a sudden unshaking of the ground called earthquake. Remember that, class. In this module also, you are going to perform 4 activities. Activity number 1, surface changer. Objectives: define fault based on gap and some conversation. Number 2, describe how fault is formed. Here's a comic strip, a conversation of Gab and Sam. According to Sam, Gab, I'm wondering why the Earth's surface is not entirely flat. I have noticed in Baguio, the ground there have high elevation and some have low one. More so, cracks are visible too. According to Gab, Sam, I remember my science teacher taught us about fault. She mentioned that the stress which are accumulated in the crust cause the changes of the rock shapes and sizes and further result to Earth's surface movement. According to Sam, will you please give me more idea what fault is and explain how it is formed? According to Gab, okay. You listen well and look at this. A fault is a fracture or cracks between two blocks of rocks. This is formed out of the influence of the stress or pressure applied to rock. A solid rock is being stretched, squeezed together, and even torn apart. If the stress is too much for the crust to handle, the crust can fracture from the inside. According to Sam, I got it. Thank you, Gab. According to Gab, you're welcome, Sam. Here are the questions. Number 1, how fault is defined based on the comic strip? Number 2, how fault is formed based on the conversation of Sam and Gab? I will give you 10 seconds to answer this question. Time starts now. Here are the answers. Number 1 question again. How is fault defined based on the comic strip? Answer: fault is a fracture or crack between two rocks. Thank you for getting the correct answer. Number 2 question. How fault is formed based on the conversation of Sam and Gab? Answer: fault is formed out of stress like tension, compression, and shear stress. As we go on our topic, we will discuss further about these 3 types of stress. Okay, thank you again for getting the correct answers. Here's activity number 2. Stress equals fault. Objective: describe the 3 types of fault and relate the types of stress associated with its type. Direction: decode the letter using the corresponding number in the sequence of the alphabet in order to reveal the words being described in the second column. Put your answer inside the box. I will give you 10 seconds to answer this question again. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Here are the answers. Number 1, normal fall. Types of stress. It is associated with tensional stress. Number 2, reverse fall is associated with compression or compressional stress. And the last number 3, strike slip fall is associated with shear stress. As you can see the arrows, so kindly examine properly so that you can easily answer or identify what type of fall is associated with type of stress and vice versa. Activity number 3. Effects of bending of cracks along fall. Objective: describe the effects of bending of cracks along faults. Direction: write on the blank the appropriate description for its illustration which show the overview of the effects of bending of cracks along faults. I will give you 10 seconds again to answer these questions. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Here are the correct answers. On illustration, here is the description. Number 1 shows the ground before bending. That is the correct answer. Thank you for getting the correct answer, guys. Number 2, the description is the ground is bending, is storing energy. It's now the time that the ground is bending. And number 3, the bending limit is reached and the ground has snapped, meaning it eventually with the correct answers in illustration and description. With regards to effects of bending of cracks along fall. Activity number 4. Know your fall. Objective: simulate how movements along fall generate earthquakes using models. Materials: sheets of folder, masking tape, and a toy house. Of course, you are going to prepare a toy house. Procedures: number 1, place the 2 sheets of folder side by side on the floor or on top of the table. Number 2, put a toy house on 1 sheet of folder. Number 3, tape lightly using masking tape the 2 sheets of folder together as shown in figure 1. As you can see the picture in figure 1, look at that properly. The 2 sheets of folder side by side and lightly tape toy house on top of 1 sheet of folder. Okay? Number 4, put your left hand on the lower part of 1 sheet of folder, then the right hand on the upper portion of the other. Look at properly the picture. Number 5, fold the sheets of folder with your left hand and pose the other sheet with your right hand simultaneously, meaning at the same time. Do this is slowly. Okay? Guide question: what happens to the masking tape when you slowly pose and pull with your left and right hand, respectively, the 2 sheets of folder? Number 2, what happens to the toy house? Number 3, which is the fault in the setup? And the last number 4, explain briefly how faults generate earthquakes based on the setup. Take the masking tape as friction while the 2 sheets of folder as the ground. Okay, I will give you 10 seconds to answer this question. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Number 1 question: what happens to the masking tape when you slowly pose and pull with your left hand and right hand, respectively, the 2 sheets of folder? Answer? Anyone? You are correct. The masking tape is laid away. Thank you for getting the correct answer. Number 2, what happens to the toy house? Anyone? Okay, very good. The house falls over. Okay? Number 3, which is the fault in the setup? You are correct. The boundary between two boxes. Number 4, explain briefly how faults generate earthquakes based on the setup. Check the massive tape as friction while the two sheets of folder as the ground. What would be the correct answer? If the friction is take and slip. Okay, thank you very much for getting the correct answer. Okay, remember class, fault is a fracture or zone of fractures between two blocks of rocks. It is a plane represents the fracture surface of a fault. If you can say in a place where there is a fracture, that is considered a fault. Another is stress. Stress is a pressure applied to a rock, and it is not only present in human being, in animals, but also it is also happen in our earth surfaces. Next is hanging wall. It is the overlying block of a fault having an inclined fault plane. While a footwall, it is an underlying block of a fault having an inclined fault plane. As what I have said, footwall, it is where volcanologists or other person studying about earthquake or earth surfaces is capable of walking. That is footwall. Next is normal fault. It is a fracture along which the footwall moves up and the hanging wall on the other side moves down. This is formed due to the tension forces or the pulling apart of the rocks, which moves the crust vertically apart. Next is reverse or thrust fault. It is a fracture where the hanging wall moves up while the footwall moves down. This is formed due to the strong compressional forces which force the rocks together, moving the crust vertically apart. The last one is strike-slip fault. It is a fault on which the two blocks slide past one another. And the last one is the so-called earthquake. Earthquake is the vibration of the earth due to rapid release of energy. It is the shaking of the earth crust or the ground itself. Okay. Okay, let's now move on to check your understanding. Direction. Complete the concept map below by writing the words on the block inside its shape. Use the short description as you close in getting the right answer. Okay, look at properly the diagram. Number 1, cracks or fractures between two rocks. And below that, we have brought by tension. Number 2, brought by compression. Number 3, brought by shearing. And the last one, but not the least, vibration of the earth due to the rapid release of energy. Okay, for the post test, direction, read the question carefully, choose the letter of the best answer, write the chosen letter on the blank provided before the number. Number 1 question, what type of stress which leads to a normal fault? A. Compression. B. Pressure. C. Shear. D. Tension. Number 2 question, which of the following diagrams below shows a normal fault? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. 3 only. D. 1 and 2. Number 3 question, all of the following statement involves to the effects of bending of rocks along fault except A. Breaking of rocks. B. Releasing of stored energy. C. Rocks start sliding slowly past each other. D. Strengthening of friction to rocks masses. Number 4, how are faults formed? A. Faults formed due to the tensional force. B. fault forms when the energy is released that travels outward in all directions. C. Fault forms when there are forces that move in different directions go beyond the elastic limit of the rock's masses. And letter D. Fault forms when there is the sudden shaking of the ground caused by the underground rock masses that suddenly shift in position. And the last, number 5. Which of the following statements best explain on how fault generate earthquakes? A. The formation of fault along the rocks that results to movement of the crust. B. The human activity like tunnel construction that results to movement of the crust. C. The lessening of the effect of friction that holds the rocks together results to immediate sliding of rocks. Letter D. The buildup of stress on the rocks reaching its limit and overcoming the friction causes the sudden release of energy. Okay, on your reflection, direction, write the facts you have in this module on the first column. All the feelings and association you have learned about the given facts, write on the second column, and the useful application in life on the third column. Again, you're also to answer this one. What you have learned in this reflection. Number 1, facts, the first column. The second column, what you have learned about the given facts. And the third one, or the third column, you can apply in your daily life the facts that you have learned. Disclaimer: no copyright infringement intended. I do not own nor claim some of the images I used in this video. With that, thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for your very nice performance in conducting the 4 activities that we have. With that, aim high, dream high, Silangyans. Thank you very much. See you on the next video lesson.